pretty nice. And this person. My great Bob Andrews.
You know how to operate the phone?
Huh?
You know how to operate the phone?
We figured out we need to. Hello, this is Ronnie. The late great Bob Andrews is up to his usual tricks. He's late. And I've got Jerry Kidd with me. Nobody else showed up. Can't have a round table with a rectangular table, I suppose. And it also requires a little precipitation, or is that participation? But Bob will drag his self in here later, I suppose. I don't know where he might be. He may be in jail again. He does that quite often. He may have another goat jailbreak and be in jail. You never know. I mean, he may be in his own little world somewhere, but he ain't here. What's going on, Jerry?
Not much. Got a lot of local politics going on. If you would need to call us, 562-3557, 566-1450.
You can talk to Jerry. I don't even talk to him. I didn't talk to him.
Now, I've never operated the phone, so you folks bear with
We
me.
may hang up on you 2 or 3 times. Guess it don't really matter, because we ain't got a lot to say, and if we run out of just completely bottom of the barrel, we will play music if we find any music to play. We refer to this as a Wild Bob and Ronnie happy hour, so if you ain't happy yet, maybe you will be the time we get in. What else going on, Jerry? Any observations? Or
Well, not much. I hope Mary calls in, brings us up to date on her campaign for Elizabeth Asbury. I want to ask if she's been doing any work in Granger and Anderson counties.
who's Mary?
She's one of our callers, real popular lady. Calls our Ariel Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Chadwell. She's just a real active lady in community affairs.
We all need to get more active, you know that?
We sure do. Have you got something there to
let me pitch
play
this
for
out.
us,
Let
get
me
us
pitch
started?
this out there and see if you want to comment on it. We have an interesting situation. We have a new county mayor and a new county commission. Possibly after August, we've got an election coming up, and the people in there now are already beating the drums for property tax increase. The interesting thing is that this is usually justified by saying that we've not had a cost of living increase for our employees for a number of years. But keep in mind that any time a government employee gets a tax increase, a taxpayer gets an income decrease, which means that we foot the bill. Now, they're justifying this latest call for increased taxes by saying that our coal severance tax is declining substantially. And that, I'm sure, is true. But our current president, before he went in office, he promised to put the coal industry out of business. Our elected officials should have foreseen that and spent more wisely and not built money hole parks and put solar panels on roofs and other several, as a matter of fact, ways that they obligated us to pay interest on debt and new funding for projects that we could have lived without, and keep this in mind and question your county commissioners and your potential county commissioners, and look back on their history and see if any of them have ever voted for a tax increase, like maybe almost doubling some taxes in the case that I could think of. And your mayoral candidates, look at these things and ask if you really think you trust them to spend your money. And if you do, vote for them. But smarten up a little. We can't just always be the people that have plenty of money to fund these things. Mine's running out. In fact, it's been gone a long time. I don't think you want to pay more. I would like to announce the arrival of the late great Bob Andrews, and we're taking up a collection here. It's a fundraising effort to buy him a watch, because evidently his don't work.
No, you have already bought me a hearing aid.
Well, I know about your hearing aid. I'm going to get you a watch.
All right, okay, watch. Well, yeah, that'd be all right. Well, you
Will the sundial do? I'm hurt.
Well, I heard you working on the sundial.
It ain't one thing to another, you know. But I work on
Where's your hearing aid?
I left it.
See? He left his watch with his hearing
Left
aid.
it on charge, and in fact, well, I actually wasn't on charge. It's on pawn right now. Just pawned it.
Well, pawned your watch.
But
And
no,
use it for bail money.
yeah,
We done had you locked up.
I opened up at the store down on Saturdays, and I got down there and had, would you believe it, a little bit of business. And,
That's a rare thing.
That's very,
You better
very
not let the
unusual.
city find out about it. They'll close you
Well,
up.
they'll be wanting to close me up again if they find out I'm doing any business.
That's right.
Yeah, we got an anti-business city and
I'm
county.
glad to be here, folks. I'm glad, you got to see me.
We're kind of gonna
Well,
leave
what's
it alone.
happening in the ACC tournament?
Well, ACC tournament was a very interesting
They're always
tournament
playing today.
this year because you had so many additional teams added.
Well, Syracuse got put out.
Huh?
Syracuse got beat.
Who?
Syracuse.
Oh, yeah.
It's up New York, Bob.
Yeah. What they're doing in the ACC, I don't know.
NC State University beat Syracuse.
Yeah.
I saw that. All right. Virginia just beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, what are they doing in the ACC?
Well, they're in
They
the
took the
ACC,
whole East in
but
there, didn't
they beat Carolina.
What does ACC stand for?
Atlantic
Atlantic
Coast
Coast
Conference.
Well, ain't they on the Atlantic side of Mississippi?
Yeah, okay.
Stands for American Coal Company.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why Pittsburgh.
We're out of business for now, then.
Pitt had a real good team. They played a tough defensive game, and they beat Carolina last night, and they lost by 1 point, I believe, or 2 points to Virginia just a little bit ago, and Duke is playing NC State now.
Well, the brackets are gonna be really interesting come
You
March
talk about the
Madness.
NCAA.
Yeah, them brackets are gonna be really messed
Well,
up.
probably Duke and Virginia will get a number 2 seat. Carolina and probably
Florida's heading for number one, aren't they? Florida's heading for number one.
Carolina and probably
I think Florida beat Tennessee this
probably
afternoon.
one more from the ACC will get a number 4 bid, and then there's a couple of ACC members that'll get a number 8 or a number 10 bid.
Anyway,
I'd like to point out that this is probably the reason you're gonna see a tax increase, because everybody's busy playing ball instead of watching what's
Playing
going
ball.
on in Jacksburg.
well, let's get back to this tax issue. That was extremely well worded commentary about a possible tax increase coming up. And folks, you know, Ronnie pointed out that mismanagement of money is their main problem in all of our governments. And all the way from the federal government down to the city of La Follette and the Campbell County government. They've doubled the employment in certain offices, like the finance office, and, you know, that just, you know, they wouldn't have to have an increase if they would just manage their personnel and their money the way it should be. I remember when Register of Deeds you know, you had your elected registered deeds, and you had one secretary, and that handled everything they had to do.
That's before they went on all those cost savings measures of putting it on computers.
Now you can't even get in the deeds office, there's so many people working in there. And what do we need? A tax assessor's office in Jellicoe, or a county mayor's office in Jellicoe. Now, I can almost understand having a clerk's office up there, because it's a fee-based office, and people has to go there on a regular basis. So I could understand that expenditure, but a tax assessor's office in Jellicoe is a waste of money and resources. So is having a mayor's office up there.
Well, you know, unless you have a television where American watches soap operas in the afternoon, you really don't need an office at all, because he goes home and watches his soap operas.
Well, our county mayor can't run one office competently. What's he doing with two? That just makes him twice as incompetent.
Well, that's very, very true. And on the assayer's office, you got to understand that they may have a little trouble keeping the value up on their property during a recession, and they need another assayer's office up there to keep the property values up.
You pointed that out last week on our show. You know, we have auctions and property goes for about 1/4 or 1/5 of what it's assessed value at.
Right.
So,
Well, if we're gonna borrow money on the county, you know, worth, we gotta pump it up a little.
Jack it up to a meaningless
I
value.
don't know whether people realize or not that our debt liability over the past, 7 or 8 years has doubled.
Let me say something about, I run a little business, been in business for a while, and I got this guy that takes care of my stuff, and he kinda, you know, figures out what we need, and we had this expenditure coming up, we needed to buy something, and I had the money to pay for it, so I said, okay, let's get it. Well, we got it, which was okay, you know, and then what happened was, instead of paying for it out of the money we had, he borrowed the money to pay for it, which meant that we were paying interest on the money that we borrowed to pay for something when we could just pay for it to start with, and I couldn't figure that out. It was a puzzle to me. So I realized that he got a little kickback on that finder's fee for financing the loan when he could have just paid for it, and that was money in his pocket. And I would have fired him, but he had so much on me I couldn't get rid of him.
You talking about?
I'm talking about my personal finances. I wouldn't be talking about nothing any further along.
I run into that
Right.
similar situation in my business. You know, you people start dragging your skeletons out of the closet, and
You gotta keep them.
And your finance advisor for your business
They said
is
that,
saying jack your debt sky high, and he's getting a
they
kickback.
say that J. Edgar Hoover they couldn't get rid of him. I mean, he had a lifetime job up there because he knew so much stuff on everybody.
He
that
kept
they had to
following
keep him.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, I run into that same thing. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Looks like I'm just stuck with it.
We need to elect a whole new county
You did
commission.
let him
So you're
know.
back to politics again. Okay, well, I didn't mean to get personal there. That was completely just on my own there.
Can we endorse candidates on this show?
Well, it depends on who you are, I guess. I'm definitely for Sheriff Palin for mayor.
For Sarah Bailey.
Yep.
Think we could write her in?
Well, we could if we could spell.
She has a bad habit of resigning from elected
I
office.
don't blame her. When you can't stand, you know, when they're bankrupt and everything, well, won't you stick it around?
She run for vice president and was told to keep her mouth shut about their opponent.
Yeah.
You know, that's
We can't even mention his middle name.
ain't nobody told us to keep our mouths shut about certain candidates running for office here in Campbell County, though.
Well, just as long as it's your mouth, not mine. I don't insult anybody.
Well, you've got one running for county commissioner that has been unemployed now for about
Are you
Six-
talking about the
six-
one that,
6 years.
are you talking about the one that doubled their taxes in the city of
Yeah,
Law
one that doubled.
overnight?
It not only doubled 64%, you know,
67 by the way.
67% of the tax, but he's been walking around with his hands in his own pockets now for 6 or 7 years, and I think he's about ready to put them back into the people's pocket.
Now, allegedly, this person also used the power of government to go after individuals, citizens, and businesses, and even tried to use the power of government to run certain businesses out of business in the
Right.
law.
Allegedly, he done a pretty that good
Allegedly,
job
he
too.
did.
Well,
Yeah.
what happened, you know, there was a illegal business that had been in business here in Campbell County for a long time.
Well, he allegedly went to Ohio to try to get a business to come down here that would be in direct conflict with a family established business that had been here
Well,
for
that's common
decades.
practice. You get, if you're in office, you always write letters to everybody to get them to come in and compete with what you already got. I mean, that goes on every day. You just gonna have to live with
Yeah,
that.
but.
I mean, we got a whole bunch of new businesses coming in Lafayette.
But why are they bringing in fast food? We already, people only eat X amount of food.
What we've got ain't fast enough.
If somebody goes to Bojangles now,
Let me tell you why.
McDonald's is gonna
let me
lose.
tell you, I believe I touched on this last week, why it is in the government's favor to bring all these fast food places in, even though there's just a certain amount of money that's gonna be spent on the food business here in Campbell County, and all that's gonna do is divide it up where everybody makes a little less. They get a new building, they get a new tax rate on that building, whether they make it in business or make any money or not, the city and the county are still gonna get taxes off that building. Hopefully, they might sell 3 or 4 or 5 extra hamburgers or pieces of chicken a day that they wouldn't sell, and then they've got Obamacare to take care of if you stick a chicken bone in your foot. So,
Well, yesterday it was on the internet that Quiznos has filed bankruptcy. That there's something like $400 million behind in their payment obligations, and so they have filed bankruptcy to avoid
They're
paying
operating a
their debt.
non-profit organization like me and Bob.
So we're gonna have another empty building here.
well, that
pretty
makes a
soon.
difference. Whoever
Where's
owns that
Quiznos?
building is still
It's
gonna pay taxes
down there
on
across
it.
from that tire.
From Radio Shack.
No, Quiznos is
Right
on
across.
the right before you get
Right
to
across.
Walmart.
No, after you pass Walmart.
There ain't no Quiznos here.
Yeah, there is.
Where?
After
What's
you
that
pass.
tire place down there where they have a martial arts and weightlifting and all
You're
that?
talking about Frizoli's down there, ain't you?
Is that Frizoli?
Yeah.
Down there where?
Oh, Quiznos is done gone then.
Yeah.
No.
Quiznos used to
Quiznos
be
has not-
in there.
Quiznos has not
No, they never
closed.
was here.
I
Now
thought
that-
Quiznos was
Okay,
in
all
there
right.
at one time.
Quiznos, I got them mixed up with Zaxby's.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
them mixed
they're
up
way
with
down
Frizoli's.
there. Mixed up with
Quiznos
Zaxby's.
is, I've been there, they're in Knoxville, they got sandwiches, but we ain't had one here that I know of.
I
Right.
believe
You
they
talking
were
about
in there.
Zaxby's
I
and
think they were
Frizoli's?
in there for a little while.
Well, maybe it was, but they down there on the other side of the road they were.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I could be wrong.
Well,
I made a mistake one time in 1956.
There's in and out so fast I
I'm
missed
due
them.
for
I
another
tried to
one.
make one. I stayed up all night trying to make one, but she wouldn't let me.
Oh, okay.
That's the way it is when you load your equipment with duds. Let's see what we got here from the Vital Care people. I know they're there somewhere.
What's
Oh, yeah, I better turn them on. Here, we start over here. Let's get back here and start.
Since they playing this evening,
They got beat by 7 points by
Yeah.
Florida.
who beat them, Florida?
Florida.
Here we go, folks.
And so, if you need to know some first-hand information about it, you can call me. But this is John Bond, and John, we'd like to welcome you to the Two Road TV tonight. You know, we've been doing your commercials for a pretty good while, but we've never
interview you.
That's right.
And we felt like it was just about time to let you spread some of your wisdom on these other people.
Well, we've been in business here for, soon be 5 years. I've had 40 years experience in the ambulance service. We have a Class A ambulance service with a good group of employees, 22, I believe, active employees, 22 employees that we pay for all on our own.
Well, those are not paid from taxpayer money.
No,
How much taxpayer money goes into this operation?
absolutely nothing.
Nothing. This is a self-sustaining operation.
That's correct.
Right. Well, let me ask something. You know, we have an incubator program going here. Have you received any incubator funds?
I've not been notified that I'm due any,
Right. No, they haven't notified you that you're going to get any.
and I don't look forward to it.
Right, okay.
We do all kinds of ambulance service. We're graded by the state as a Class A service. We can haul any kind of patients. We can go anywhere. We do a lot of non-emergency transports. We're the only service in Campbell County that has a ventilator, transport ventilator, that we can move patients that are on a ventilator out of the hospital to another hospital. We appreciate the opportunity to serve each and every one of our patients. We have some people that won't call anyone but us. If they ever call us once, they'll call again. But we love each and every one of our patients, and they seem to reciprocate and love us as well. But
if you want vital care services, 562-9370, they're dedicated and professional, and they will do a good job if you need a ride to the hospital or any sort of a medical transport situation. 562-9370, and in case of emergency, you can still dial 911 and request vital care. 562-9370 if you want to dial them directly. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I mean, they rescued Bob, and don't hold it against him, but it worked out real good for him. And I don't think you'll beat that, because they're not government subsidized. They have to take care of their own expenses and pay their own bills. That means they have to satisfy you, or they're not going to stick around. So keep them in mind. What's going on besides that, fellers?
Well, I don't know. Did we get everybody hauled in where we wanted to go on vital care?
Well, we even told them they saved you.
No, yeah, they did. That may go against them, but yeah, they saved me. I was going to read you a Liberty quote that was made by Thomas Jefferson some 200 years ago. Let me ask, was Thomas Jefferson the second president or the third president? Third, right? John Adams was second.
Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, John Quincy Adams.
Oh, I don't want to, we know that. Okay. And this is something Thomas Jefferson said.
You knew that, Bob, why'd you ask?
Yeah.
Probably 200 years ago. And he says, I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them.
Good.
What?
Good
Say
point,
that again.
Mr.
That
Jack.
needs to be repeated.
Good point. Repeat that.
Okay. I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them.
You mean
Exactly. That's
what's
why
going on with the progressives?
our forefathers built a constitution that established limited government, limited being the key word. And they're not supposed to be doing anything that is not specifically prescribed in the Constitution. So therefore, Social Security is illegal, Medicare, Medicaid, all these federal programs. The FBI is illegal, the CIA, all this stuff that is not listed in the Constitution, according to the 9th and 10th Amendments, reverts back to the people and to the state.
I think so. I think that's very, very true. And you know, we have gone along with because we've been sold a bill of sales that these things are necessary. And our children, and a lot of our generation, your generation, my generation, have been brainwashed to accept this completed view of our Constitution, which is basically, like you've said, a document that limits the power of government. It does not give the government any power, it limits their power, okay? And,
You know, when Bob, in 1598, one of the greatest leaders in Western civilization, Queen Elizabeth I, in 1598 passed a law outlawing false and crafty signs.
Well, that knocked this global warming thing. What would Al Gore do back
Oh,
then?
he would have
he
had his head chopped off.
He'd been in the North Tower.
They used an axe man to
He would be
remove
in the
your head.
He would be in the North Tower, that's where he would be.
Exactly.
Didn't work out real good for Walter Raleigh, did he?
And you know, that law lasted about 200 years. And the socialist progressives came back with a vengeance. And they have dominated Western thought ever since. And they would love to destroy the U.S. Constitution, just basically. And the people in power in Washington today says, we don't need the Constitution anymore. They want to get rid of it.
Sure, that's exactly right, you know. And, you know, we have some big ticket items that are talked about, namely the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment. But there are so many other portions of the Constitution that limit the power of the government.
Yes,
you know.
there's 7 articles, 3 main articles
Right.
limiting what Congress can do, what the President can do, and what the
Right.
judiciary can do.
Right. You know, and I'm very much convinced that neither the Democrats nor the Republicans, I'm talking about your mainline Republicans, have any interest in preserving the Constitution.
Well, you know, Thomas Jefferson and Alexis de Tocqueville and many other experts who were Americans and some traveled America said our democracy was going to work beautifully until the people realized they could vote themselves money out of the treasury.
Right.
And that's what we have happening here in
Right.
La Follette,
Right.
and in Jacksboro, in Nashville. Thank God Nashville is pretty much limited on theirs, but the federal government is practically unlimited, to where they are voting themselves and their friends' money out of your treasury, folks.
Do you know that conservative, and I don't mean this conservative politically, but there's a conservative estimate that the United States government wastes in excess of over $300 billion a year.
They're not buying them there little curly trees that you set out in front of the place.
Well, we're not talking about the local
I
government.
know, but I just wondered if the federal government was buying bigger trees or something.
Well, yes, right.
And they're not spending money on foolishness like incubator programs. That the only idea I've seen come out of there in 3 years has been a farmer's market in downtown La Follette, and it hasn't flown yet. And then our school system under Poston spent well over $100,000 to a firm out of Texas to teach leadership. Now, every teacher in this county that has a PhD or an EBS, and I think even in the master's program now, leadership is the main emphasis of public education in the training of teachers.
Well,
There's people all over this county that can teach leadership, and we have to pay somebody $100,000 or $200,000 from Texas to come up here and teach leadership.
Well, one of the reasons I became disenchanted with the public school system, which I was a teacher, one of the reasons was when I was teaching, pay was really low and I could not hardly make it. If I hadn't farmed and worked a second job, I could not
You have
have
to
had.
remember, you're only working a part-time job.
Well, yeah, I know. Just look how lucky I was. That's one reason I became disenchanted, but another reason was that they never put any emphasis on teachers knowing anything about anything. All they wanted to do was learn how to teach. And if they could stay a page or a chapter ahead of the students, but they knew how to teach, they were okay. But believe me, you think the easiest thing in the world is for a student or young person to spot a phony.
Bob, when I was in college back in the early mid-60s, that battle, well, that battle was going on.
Yeah.
And it was a debate between method and content. And all the academic departments wanted to stress content, that teachers should know something to teach. If they're a history teacher, 90% of their training should be in history. But the education department wanted method over content. They wanted 90% of the curriculum.
I never could figure that out. I couldn't figure out how you could get a degree in education and then go teach. Just knowing how to teach don't go nowhere if you don't know anything to tell people.
Well, guess who won that debate back in the 60s?
I've got a pretty good idea.
The education department. So we have teachers now that know how to teach but know nothing to teach.
Well, let me tell you a little side note on the
That's Jerry's kid, in case you want to know who said that.
teacher situation. In New York
Well, I'll
New
put my
York City,
degrees up against
right, in
anybody
New
who
York
wants
City,
to complain.
you have Mayor de Blasio, I believe that's his name, who is paying off a political debt. In order to get the support of the teachers union in New York City, he agreed to cut the charter schools up as much as he could. Now these charter schools, most of them, about 71% of the students were disadvantaged people. They weren't being inhabited by the rich people. Of the charter schools, those who attended charter schools had a much higher average on their test. They also went to college more frequently, and they graduated more frequently than the kids who went to public school. Yet he's doing away with charter schools to pay off a political debt, and that's one thing we need to watch a little bit closer here in this county. Even though, like I say, I have a teaching background, teacher certificate in the past, you have to worry about the teachers union, which is the largest employer in the county, being able to take over our government.
Bob, did you know that the biggest waste of money in modern society is public education? You know, we actually, with today's technology and the skills of people in this technology, we no longer need to warehouse children to put them in these big brick and glass cathedrals to our ignorance and maintain them all day and feed them 2 meals a day, and I think
3.
it's going to 3
And
now.
send home with them.
3 meals
Yes,
a
I went
day.
home with them on the weekend.
And now we're in busing, transportation. Even when the child drives himself or his family drives him, it's a waste of oil and gas. That with today's technology, we could cut the personnel of our education departments by 9/10 and run essentially a chartered homeschool system.
We could do away
utilizing
with
today's
most
technology.
of public education expenses, most of library and that sort of facilities. We could do away with, in fact, we could do away with broadcast radio in a heartbeat. We're right now covering the world on the internet with a minimal amount of
Yeah, but
energy.
we're turning leadership on this internet over probably to the Chi-Coms.
But there ain't nobody in China running for county mayor here in
I
Campbell
don't know
County.
if it was,
We gotta reach the locals by
But
going
now,
through
we've talked about all the things.
the older
We're talking
technology.
about the things that could be done to give us a more efficient educational system and take so much of the tax burden off the people that's out here paying the bill. But let me tell you something, when your own county school board does not have enough vision to place their people in different locations connected by the internet and operate under existing, buildings that they have and, use the internet, and they still gotta go build a new building and put everybody in one building, yeah.
You saying we didn't need that central office?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What I'm talking about, that.
I just wanted to ask a question.
I mean, if they don't have enough vision to not have a central office, like a central school, central high school, this, that, and the other, but, you know, the really big question,
Administrators are in charge of doing all this, and they get paid more if they have bigger schools.
but I'm sure of that, but do you know one of the big questions to that? Where are they gonna practice football and basketball?
If we
That's right.
let the communities take over the athletic program, this is the way it ought to be done. We're the only country in the world that ties sports to education.
There's nothing wrong with every community having an organized ball team and go out and play. They used to do it at churches. I remember Grantsburg used to play Denver, and Denver used to play College Hill. We had all that stuff going on. The churches they'd all get together and they'd go play ball.
Yeah, but the
I'm
only
not a
problem is you had to be worried about stepping on second base.
I guess you did. Somebody's called us.
Hey, Wild Bob Ronnie.
Hey,
Hey,
did you tell me something?
We know that.
Yes, sir.
I wanna know what time that bluegrass thing starts tonight, you know?
Oh, the one thing we don't know.
the one question.
Hold on, I'll
I
see if I
think-
can
I will
find out.
find out
I
for you.
think
Just hang
Jerry-
on a second.
I think Jerry Chadwell said 5 o'clock.
Today,
Yeah, or it might be 6.
was that
But if you
Eastern
get-
Standard or is that daylight savings time?
That would be current time,
Okay,
daylight savings.
hold on, we're gonna find out.
What time did you say?
I think 6 would be safe.
Okay, well, whereabouts is this thing supposed to take place?
At the barn? Is it at what they call the barn?
It's supposed to be up there at Billy Ball's farm or something, barn or something.
Oh, okay.
Bill Ball's place?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where that's at. Yeah.
6 o'clock, you'll be safe if you pull in there at 6.
Okay, who's this?
Now, that's daylight savings time.
This is
Yeah,
a wild,
no, we're in it now.
this is a Wild Bob and Ron show.
I got it.
Okay, wait a minute, we got it. We got it.
Saturday, March 15th, 2014, 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. Ball Farm Event Center, Bluegrass Breakdown, and silent auction.
5 o'clock.
For
All right,
Casa.
buddy, I sure appreciate it.
All right,
Okay,
you're
Have
welcome.
fun, it's for cost of the children.
Tell you, if you're under 6, if you're under 6 years old, you get in free.
Okay, buddy, thank you.
106.
Under 6.
106. You can get in next year, Bob.
Yeah, I'm gonna quite got down,
Yeah, we spend money not on education, we spend money on sustaining a society of,
idiot.
well, I wouldn't say idiots, they're pretty smart, they get all this money for nothing.
Said that right.
So, we're spending a lot of money to maintain a social system that's not productive at all.
Well, I had something I wanted to kind of bring up. I beat this dog before, but he needs another whooping. You've got the American Civil Liberties Union. You've always got the press and all sorts of print and public media out there to defend the First Amendment. And the First Amendment says, now this is the text of the Constitution, it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, I've got no problem with it. That's a great thing. But if you'll notice, the wording says that Congress shall make no law. That does not say that the county commission can't limit people on,
5 minutes.
I am speaking, it does not say that the state cannot establish a religion. It does not say that. It says Congress.
That's right.
And I love that they interpret that more broadly, but that's not the Constitution. But those same people that are so adamant about defending that forget about the text of the Second Amendment.
Right.
And I'll give you that in a minute.
Right, okay. Well, Bob Marty? Hey,
Well, they didn't want to talk to you anyway, Bob.
You want
They
them,
must have
Billy?
thought it was me. Anyway, this is the text of the Second Amendment. It was as ratified by the final draft of the Constitution. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, that don't leave any leeway for state, local, federal. It says, now why do these same people are so adamantly in defense of the First Amendment and overstep the declarations encoded therein, want to go on and forget about what this says? They want to read all sorts of limitations on that. I'm not here trying to say everybody ought to buy a gun. I'm just saying that we've got a bunch of people that want to interpret things entirely in their direction, and that's why we've got government growing beyond all bounds and people trying their best to pay for it and can't figure out where they're going to get any more money.
that's very, very
Under
good.
feudalism in the Middle Ages, all government was from the top down. Whatever government said was what went. And in America, when people came over here, it was to get away from that feudalistic top-down rule and to establish government from the bottom up, from the people, the powers to the people, not government.
With a defined set of rules that was supposed to be adhered to, and that was the structure. We've abandoned that.
Right.
Well, Bob Marty?
Well,
Hey,
Hey!
they all better get their taxes paid for the last day of this month, or it's penalty and enters sheriff fee, clerk fee, every kind of fee put on them. If they ever get them caught up.
I don't know what she said.
Are you talking about federal?
Land taxes.
Well, I didn't
land
pay
taxes?
mine, you're behind.
Oh, that's in the fall. You get your bill in the fall. You gotta
Yeah,
pay it.
but you gotta have them paid by the last day of March.
No,
first day,
last day of February.
February first.
Last day of February.
Yeah,
Well,
You're already behind, Mary.
hey,
I
yeah.
done paid mine.
Well,
back.
you're all right, but if you
Good.
waited till March, you'd have been paying a fine, the penalty,
Well,
and
all
the
right, last day of February. Well, you talk about we was getting a bunch of educated idiots.
We
But
got
I
some of
was
them.
3 of them are.
Well, that wouldn't be here on the Wild Bob and Ronnie show, would it?
Yeah,
Wouldn't be there if you wasn't a bunch of idiots.
Well, why don't you come up and join us and we'll have an uneducated
Right, yeah.
idiot?
I'm not educated to say real juice.
That's why I think you need to come up and help us.
No way, no how.
Sometimes intelligence blooms without formal education,
Yeah, I know it.
as in your case.
Yeah, we think you're a blooming idiot too.
Yes, you're like me. You shed your balloons a long time ago.
But ain't we entertaining?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
you
You
know,
know, we're gonna have to let Digger talk down here. We'll let
Okay.
Digger
Let
talk,
Digger
then we'll be
plug his
done. Now, here's Digger. He's gonna talk.
Farm Digger Wilson.
Told you.
Been here off and on for over 30 years in the same spot. Pumping propane, doing repairs on containers, heaters. I'm the only one in the county that'll do you a repair on your tanks if you need it. I sell propane gas, liquid propane,
Mine just gotta quit it. That's
and I've got
right.
plenty of competitors, and I can easily compete with them. That's grills, backup heat, substitute heat, grills, campers, motor homes, you name it, and if it's comes in through that door, I can take care of it. I'm here Tuesday through Friday, 8 till 5, and Saturday, 8 till 12.
562-5444.
No, he said 562-5444.
Here it is.
562-5444.
A man that built a store down there in the middle of the road, Sawmill Holler, I would know his own phone number.
And all he needs to do is 911.
Yeah.
During that commercial, Bob pointed out something here real interesting. Few people are not aware of a concept known as jury nullification. You should be aware of the fact that the jury is the most powerful institution in Western civilization. Now, when you're on a jury, if you think the law is unjust, you can rule based on your feeling that the law is not right. You do not have to rule on whether someone broke a law. You can rule on the value of the
When
of
the
the law
judge gets
itself.
up there and instructs the jury, he is violating their rights as a juror.
Jury
Yes, sir.
does not have to follow the judge's instructions. If he instructs them to rule either pro or con on the case, they can still overrule that judge.
Did you know that a lawyer can be disbarred for mentioning the term jury nullification during a trial?
Yes, they can, because they do not want you to know how powerful and how strong your rights really are.
But
Now-
when you're chosen to go on that jury, you are a powerful person.
Now, if I were to be, and I could probably be barred from ever serving on a jury for this, but if I was called to rule on a federal case as a juror, there's only 3 crimes in the Constitution of the United States. That is treason, counterfeiting, and piracy. I have the ancestry that got hung to show
He
that
had this boat, he went around.
he went around.
People.
He was in the
But
mercantile business.
that falls under the
Mercantile.
He got hanged.
Well, mercantile or merchant, that's mercantile, that's a different, ain't that a different field?
But if you get
Sea
called
trade.
to a federal case on anything except treason, counterfeiting, or piracy, you should nullify that law.
Right.
Because the federal government has no right to have, of course, now they have something like 2,500 laws that makes your acts illegal. And according to the Constitution, that's supposed to revert back to the people or the state. And for the federal government to be getting into making criminal law, they should be nullified.
Right, well, one of the things that has sparked this conversation we're having here is a couple little quotes that I had here, and one of them is that the jury has a right to judge both the law as well as the fact in a controversy. The second one is...
Now, wait a minute, let's go back to that first one. That was a quote by John Jay,
Right, one of
who
our...
was the first Chief Justice
Right.
of the United States Supreme Court.
Right. And John Jay again, I'm gonna read it again. The jury has the right to judge both the law as well as the fact in controversy. He didn't say that the judge had the right, that the judges have the right to legislate or judge. It's only the jurors that have the right to judge.
And the jury system goes back well over 1,000 years back into English common law.
Right. There's no American should retreat an inch on the right of jurors to acquit if they perceive the law or its administration to be unjust. And, I've mentioned to him that I didn't sit on the jury here, but we just had a fairly well-publicized case here in Campbell County, and the jury ruled, and I'm not going to comment on whether they ruled right or what it was, but they ruled within their authority. That was their authority to make the decision that they made. And like I say, you can't really, unless you're on a jury, it's very hard to second guess them.
If I ever get charged with a felony, there's one thing that I am going to challenge which I know I won't win it, and there's no way the federal judiciary system would rule in my favor on this, even up to the Supreme Court. But why should the state be the only one to call jurors, potential jurors? You know, the state sends out 100 letters inviting you to come in, and they pick a jury from this jury pool. Now, why can't the defendant send out 100 letters as well?
Don't see anything wrong with that logic.
Exactly. And if the prosecution doesn't like the people you call, they get so many they can notify or reject. And
Our
I
politicians
believe-
are
we
very
can
well
reject
among
some
your
of those.
juries.
I believe they have some of those rights
So-
now.
So if I ever get charged with a felony, which could be likely after being on this show,
I'd say you're probably in the works now.
but when they call a jury pool, I'm gonna call one too.
Right. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Let's get back to Ronnie's statement on the Second Amendment. For how many years have I called the Tennessee firearms regulations
Ever since they
the
pulled you
Barney,
over.
the Barney Fife Law?
Yeah.
The reason being, Barney, it's to keep Barney from having that one shell in his pocket. You know, in Tennessee, unless you have a special carry permit, you cannot even have one shell in your pocket like Barney had. Your gun has to be completely unloaded, and the shells have to be somewhere where you cannot reach them from where you're sitting. You have to get up, you have to do something to get to them. And that is, if that's not an infringement on the right to carry guns, then I'm not sitting here, because a gun is not a gun without ammunition.
This is a rock, ain't it, Bob?
And
Yeah.
even have to file for a carry permit is a
Well,
violation.
that's a
I would like to
That's
just
a
do a little
violation.
aside thing here and say that I'm grateful that Bob has started dropping vice grips out of his pocket instead of 38s, 'cause it hits the floor and makes the same sound, but
You had
here
a,
What was it?
you had a candidate for Congress
Right,
sitting
yeah, but
sitting there when his gun fell out of his pocket.
the record of our show on Tuesday no longer exists. I don't know what happened. It got screwed up, so it ain't there. But he happened to drop
I
another.
destroyed it, I didn't want no evidence.
He dropped another. He was sitting there and I hear this kerplunk, and I thought, well, I've heard that sound before, but I happened to see him playing with a pair of vice grips before we sat down.
Wasn't Zach Wamp's son sitting there as
Yeah,
well?
no.
I had one of our Campbell County's finest pulling me over. They asked me if I had a gun. You know what I said? I said, do I need one?
I got pulled over for going too fast in the school zone down in Monterey a couple of weeks ago, and the officer, when they look you up on the computer, it says whether you have a carry permit or not.
Yeah.
He came back to the car and said, "Have you got your gun with you?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Well, you should tell me you've got the gun when I first come up." And I said, "Wouldn't that be a terroristic threat?" You know, "Hey, officer, I'm armed. You better get the hell out of here."
You know, how can they find out you've got a gun, but they can't tell where your airplane went to? I can't figure
That's right,
this
they
out.
lose.
You lose a 777, but you know a guy got a pistol.
Well, we didn't lose it in Tennessee. If we'd
Oh,
lost
yeah,
it in
that's all.
Tennessee, we'd know exactly where it was. We can
Well,
track,
maybe somebody on that plane had a gun and they'd know right where he's at.
we can track a cow anywhere on this planet.
Yeah, and UPS can find a Mexican
But we
anywhere,
got
but
12
they can't afford him.
million, we got 12 million illegal immigrants, they don't know where they're at.
Now, I've got a question. You know, my little old goats got out just for a brief period of time.
We'll be having a court date on Friday.
Out here at
Exact date to be announced.
All right, got out, there's no damage, nobody was ever threatened, never got in the road, just got in a man's empty field. Okay, I was issued a citation for the goats getting out. And then they have this character on here, this morning and yesterday, whose zebra has been out for 5 months. And they just found him, and nobody issued him a citation.
Where is this zebra?
But he's here in Tennessee.
Oh.
Uh,
Well, now, if he'd have been a giraffe, they'd have butchered him in front of an audience.
right,
Well,
but,
that was a different place.
this, zebra had been out for 5 months, and they finally got him hemmed up,
There's a delay, Jerry.
and, and put up, but he never got a citation. And I'm sure the authorities were aware that he had a zebra out. What they had, they didn't have, Sheriff Mongar down there. That's what we need to advise him. He needs to go down there and write that man a
I
violation for
reckon
his,
they do. They could track that
being
zebra
out
down in a
5
heartbeat.
months, huh?
They could track that zebra down in a
Isn't that
heartbeat.
right?
Yeah, I don't know why we're just keep fooling around here and letting zebras just run wild. That's as bad as Martha Stewart been on the street again.
Oh, we had to lock her up. I
I know.
slept better while she was in the federal
Not any
pen.
better than I did, boy. It's like her and Bob Andrews, they're both
Right,
loose now.
right.
Yeah, they're,
And people out in Demery, after they issued me that citation on the, goats,
They quit locking their
they
doors.
quit locking their doors, they started leaving their equipment sitting outside. They were so impressed with, Sheriff Mongar being on the job that they completely, lost all their fear.
If you wanna pull anybody over, if we're leaving, he's the one in the beat up pickup. Not the
Right.
blue one, but the multicolored green and blue one.
Right. Might as well join the crowd.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to get bail on Saturday.
what do
You
they
gotta
call
stay
that?
with
Is
money.
that called an eclectic vehicle?
Bob's?
I know my ex-wife used to, have all kinds of different furniture and nothing matched anything.
Sounds
You
like
said-
my abode.
That's the eclectic style.
That's what I got out my domicile.
Well, I just read in this paper here where a man driving a truck like mine, a Dodge, his pickup truck just passed 2 million miles.
It ain't the one that runs on wood, is it? Gets 100 miles from
No,
shore to
no,
something?
this one is a little diesel,
Oh,
and, had a little Cummins diesel in it, and, he's never had to replace the engine. He did have to replace the, transmission. It locked up with him somewhere.
then you have to
And
put in
He
diesel in
drives
it?
100, huh?
You have to put in diesel in it?
Diesel fuel,
Yeah,
always, yeah.
that's what it runs on, okay.
Yeah, but he never had to replace the diesel motor.
Okay.
To get back to our sports,
Oh, boy.
I want to make an announcement. If you go on the internet and Google this, there is a loan shark company out there that's offering
Yep.
$1 billion
Yep.
if you can get your March Madness bracketology perfect.
Well, I don't know what a bracket is. I saw that and I thought, well, you know, use me
That's,
interested on what a bracket is.
I can't even get through the first 67 teams.
You reckon Lloyd
Without a
London
bid.
have insured this thing?
It's like I used to buy a lottery ticket,
Well, you can
and I
go,
could never get the first number
you
right,
can
so
go
I quit.
online, yeah, you can go online and, you can fill that thing out and take a chance and hit it.
I'm gonna tell you something, we got less than 3 minutes left, we got about 2 minutes left, so if you fellas want to insult anybody else, you better hurry.
No, I've already said everything except I want my day in the sun on that zebra.
Well, I don't know about zebra meat, but they say horse meat's pretty good.
It is good, I've eaten horse meat, yeah. Goat meat's good too.
And we're gonna
Next
find out
time,
before
next
long.
time
what
you
don't
go
we?
to court over your goats, claim the zebra defense.
That's what
It's
I'll
like
do.
when they
You
call
know
me,
what I'm gonna do?
when they
I'm gonna
subpoena
go up there and
me
pay-
or
I'm gonna go up there and pay.
charge me, I'm gonna claim the Clinton defense.
Okay.
I do not recall a thing.
Right, I'm
I
gonna
did
pay,
not have, well, never mind.
yeah.
I do not
I
recall.
may have
That's
had, but I did not have.
It was a cigar, is what
Right.
it was.
Said, I
Did
may,
you see where Bieber was using the Clinton defense in his
No, I
subpoena
didn't.
lately? He said, I don't recall that question.
don't ask me that question again.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
Folks, we gotta go. Thank you for listening.
We'll see you
We're
Tuesday.
sorry if we've insulted you unless you deserved it. and we hope
Tuesday
you'll
night.
Tune in next week at the same time, same station, or see us on Tuesday on the
Right.
internet at 5 o'clock, and it'll be stored on UGG TV, as will this program if you wanna watch it later.
And just
Thank
make
you,
sure,
bye.
make sure all the people that are running for office here
run
If they're
fast.
not interested in putting their hands in your pocket,
It's over. Let me turn that off before you fellas insult anybody that might have a lawyer. Don't want to insult anybody in the
Insult
court of
the
law.
Chinese. Or how about the Malaysians for losing